Yo, what is up everybody? Sony D here. Today I'm going to be taking you guys through a Demon Hunter class breakdown for Legion at level 110. In this video, I'm going to be addressing the talents, honor talents, and ability choices that I make for PvP in Legion on the Demon Hunter class. In a separate video, I'll be showing you guys the proper DPS rotation and burst rotation, as well as some rank 1, possibly rank 1 viable compositions that you can play on your Demon Hunter in 3v3 come Legion. Now with all that being said, I'd like to kick things off with introducing you guys to the primary PvP spec on Demon Hunter, which is going to be Havoc. The primary reason why we're picking Havoc over Vengeance is because Vengeance is a tank spec, and as much as some people want tank specs to work in PvP, they're just not going to. The developers don't want it to work out that way. At the end of the day, it's kind of up to them whether tank specs are going to be viable in PvP. With that being said, Havoc is the primary PvP spec. How it kind of works, you generate Fury using Demon's Bite. Once you acquire enough Fury, you can then use it on Chaos Strike, Blade Dance, I-Beam, and a few other abilities that aren't listed here. To start things off, I'm going to break down every single ability in the spellbook for you guys. First up, we've got Blade Dance. Costs 15 Fury, pretty straightforward, 10-second cooldown. This is a little bit of a buffed version of the ability since I am spec'd into a certain talent that I'll show to you guys later. Blade Dance requires 15 Fury, 10-second cooldown. It strikes all nearby enemies for 75k damage and increases your chance to dodge by 100% for 1 second. Now, this ability brings with it a very, very cool mechanic if used, right before another melee enemy comes at you with maybe a stun or a heavy bursting ability. You can use Blade Dance about 0.5 seconds before they do it and dodge successfully that attack on you. Very fun to outplay people with this if you time it correctly. This is probably one of the main spells that attracted me to the class initially. Up next, we've got Blur. 1 minute cooldown, increases your chance to dodge by 50% and reduces all damage taken by 35% for 10 seconds. With this ability, Demon Hunters are given, a little bit of defensive potential. However, 35% reduction for 10 seconds, it's okay. It's on a 1 minute cooldown, which is also okay, but Demon Hunters are still very trainable at the moment. But this is the button you pretty much use if you're being trained. Your healer's in CC, you got melee on you, maybe you got casters on you. Use this ability to take less damage. Up next, we've got Chaos Nova. Unleash an eruption of fell energy, stunning all nearby enemies for 5 seconds and dealing 30k chaos damage. It's on a 1 minute cooldown, costs 30 Fury. This is our primary stun. Chaos Strike requires 40 Fury melee range. Slice your target for 107k chaos damage. Critical strikes refund 20 Fury. This is like primarily what we use to burst people on top of a few other spells. You're going to want to build Fury up with Demon's Bite and then use it on Chaos Strike. Consume Magic. 20-yard range, 15-second cooldown. With this spell, you can interrupt people. If you successfully interrupt somebody, you generate 50 Fury. So this is a very, very cool interrupt to have on a melee character. I don't believe that any melee characters have a ranged interrupt. Death Knights might, Mind Freeze, but I don't think it is. I'll have to double check on that. Up next, we've got Darkness. 3 minute cooldown. Summons Darkness around you in an 8-yard radius, cloaking friendly targets and granting a 20% chance to avoid all damage from an attack. Now, this spell is very good when paired up with a later honor talent, increasing it to 70% chance to avoid all damage from an attack. This spell is very good. It's our primary oh shit button. If our healer is get in CC and you're just having trouble surviving, you kind of pop this. You'll absorb most damage and probably not die. One thing to be careful with this ability is not to just use it willy-nilly, because you've got Blur every minute, which is okay. But Darkness is going to be the main ability that's going to save you from, dying. Up next, we got Demon's Bite. Quickly attack for 48k physical damage. Generates 20 to 30 Fury. This is going to be our main Fury builder. You pretty much spam this any opportunity you get. Builds Fury. Use that Fury on other abilities, such as I-Beam. I-Beam is interesting. There's a bit of controversy around it. Do you use it? Do you not use it? You use it. It's a 20-yard range, costs 50 Fury, 45-second cooldown. You basically want to use this on cooldown outside of demon form. With this ability, it's channeled, it's ranged, and it deals a lot of damage. After you use Blade Dance, you could probably use I-Beam and fit it into your rotation. deals a lot of damage. Try to save Fury for it. It's a pretty good spell. Up next, we've got Fell Rush. Rush forward, incinerating anything in your path for 104k chaos damage. That last tooltip there about generating 25 Fury, that is a talent that does that. Fell Rush is the Demon Hunter's biggest mobility spell, in my opinion. Allows you to travel a great distance relatively quickly. Up next, we have Fury of the Illidari. Okay, this is the artifact spell. Some of you may not be familiar with this spell yet. If you're not on the beta, you probably don't know what it is. Once we get our artifacts on the Demon Hunter, we're given this spell eventually. It's on a 1 minute cooldown, throws the Twin Blades of the Deceiver in a whirlwind of energy, causing 280k chaos damage over 3 seconds to all nearby enemies. Now, this spell is the biggest burst we have on Demon Hunters right now. If you lock somebody up in a stun, or multiple people up in a stun with Chaos Nova and pop this down, people are going to get chunked pretty hard. However, it's got a small radius and it stays in place for 3 seconds. So you got to make sure your target isn't moving when you use that. Up next, we've got Imprison. 20-yard range, instant, 10-second cooldown. Imprisons a demon for 1 minute. Damage will cancel the effect, limit 1. Now, this ability, if you do decide to spec into the PvP talent, Detainment, will allow you to CC a player for 3 seconds. They can't break out of it. It's like a cyclone. They can't be healed. They can't deal damage. They can't take damage. Up next, we've got Metamorphosis. This is our biggest damage steroid. You leap literally very far. I mean, this is further than Heroic Leap, and turns you into this guy. It's on a 4 minute cooldown. Leap into the air and land with explosive force, dealing 40k chaos damage to enemies within 8 yards and stunning them for 3 seconds. Upon landing, you are transformed into a hellish demon for 30 seconds, greatly empowering your Chaos Strike and Blade Dance abilities, and gaining 25% haste. When you use this, Blade Dance turns into Death Sweep, and Chaos Strike turns into Annihilation, I believe. Basically, they're just renamed. They deal more damage. That's the only thing that changes. Up next, we've got Spectral Sight. New mechanic that has been introduced to the game. A lot of controversy was around it when it first came out. I don't think it's going to inflict high-level play too much. Good players can avoid it pretty easily from what I've encountered in beta arenas so far. However, to give you a brief rundown, it allows you to see enemies and treasures through physical barriers, as well as enemies that are stealthed and invisible last 10 seconds. Attacking or taking damage disrupts the sight, which means it cancels the effect. So with this spell, at the start of the arena, you could use it to potentially find a rogue, find a feral druid, find anybody who's stealth, knock them out, and disrupt their opener. So very cool spell, cool mechanic, somewhat hard to get off because rogues can sap you, mages can just launch a spell on you. Their stealth isn't really affected, nor is their opener. Up next, we've got Throw Glaive, 30-yard range, 10-second recharge. Throw a demonic glaive at the target, dealing 88k physical damage. The glaive can ricochet to 2 additional enemies within 10 yards. It's practically a snare for me. It's a talent that I pick. I'll show you guys right now. Master the Glaive. If you spec into it, it makes Throw Glaive a snare. Otherwise, Throw Glaive is pretty much the warrior equivalent to Heroic Throw. Just deals damage, doesn't really do much of anything else. It's just a way to kind of sustain some damage if you can't actually get any uptime on your target. However, I do decide to almost always exclusively spec into the snare mechanic giving talent of Throw Glaive because I can't play melee class without snare. Vengeful Retreat, instant, 25-second cooldown, viciously assault nearby enemies and vault away. Assaulted enemies take 16k physical damage and have their movement speed reduced by 70% for 3 seconds. Vengeful Retreat's just another kind of mobility spell. The only time I ever find myself using it is maybe quickly get around corners. You do cover more ground behind you when you use it. To put it this way, if you are running this way, you can get from one place to another faster or quicker using Vengeful Retreat than running. So like, you know, I'm trying to get to here, I could just Vengeful Retreat, I get there a lot quicker. Now with all that being said, that about wraps up the ability overview part of this video. Up next, we're going to go through the talents.